I'm about to make bean pie. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 4 eggs. And break them and put them add them to this bowl. If you want to make two bean pies, you would add 2 eggs. If you want to make 1 bean pie, you would add 1 egg. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 eggs. If you want to make 2 bean pies, you would add 4 eggs to this. You use 4 eggs. So I'm making 2 bean pies. Then I want to lightly beat these eggs. Very lightly. Very lightly beat them. Then I want to add 2 cups of evaporated milk. If I was making 1 bean pie, it would be 1 cup of evaporated milk. But since I'm making 2 bean pies, I'm going to add 2 cups of evaporated milk. So I'm going to add 2 cups of evaporated milk. So 2 cups of evaporated milk. Okay. So again, I'm just going to incorporate that a little bit. Okay, just lightly. Okay. And I'm gonna pour this into my food processor. Pour this into my food processor. Okay. Now I'm going to add one cup of sugar. I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar to this, to my food processor. Yep. So I'm going to add. Yeah, maybe 1 and 1/4 cups of sugar to my food processor. Okay. If I was only making 1 bean pie, it would be 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Then I'm going to add two teaspoons of nutmeg. Two teaspoons of nutmeg. If I was making 1 bean pie, it would be 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. If I was making 1 bean pie, it'll be 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cloves. 1 teaspoon of cloves. No, 2 teaspoons of cloves. If I was making 1 bean pie, I'm sorry, I should have said I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cloves. I should have said. I'm going to add one teaspoon of cloves. If I was making 1 bean pie, I would add half a teaspoon of cloves. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ginger. Okay, yep, so I would add 1 teaspoon of ginger. 1 teaspoon of ginger. If I was making 1 bean pie, I would add a half a teaspoon of ginger. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. If I was making 1 bean pie, I would add a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up my food processor. I'm going to hook this up to my food processor. So I'm going to hook up my food processor. Okay, so I'm going to hook up my food processor. Or no. I'm going to start adding 4 cups of cooked navy beans to this. Okay, I may have to now if I'm baking 1 bean pie, it's going to be 1 cup. Okay, so I added some of the navy beans, so I'm gonna process this first. I'm gonna process this first before I add the other 2 cups. process that. I'm going to add a little bit more beans to it. Add a little bit more beans to it. Okay, so I'm going to pour a little bit of this out because it's kind of at maximum capacity at this point. Pour some of this out. Pour a little bit of it out. Then I'm going to add a little bit more beans to it. And I'm going to process these. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to add these to it, and I'm going to process it again. And this is pretty much your bean pie.